Hello guys and welcome to another video, and this one is going to be a bit of a deep dive on the Mahuxotl's Machination unique shield. This is probably one of the most complex unique items in the game with all of the combinations of keystone modifiers that it grants. And I was going to do this video much sooner, but I wanted to wait until I had covered many of the keystones that the shield grants in each of their own unique dedicated keystone highlight videos. And I haven't done a keystone highlight for Immortal Ambition or Vow Pact just yet, but I have covered Divine Flesh, Corrupted Soul, and Eternal Youth. So if you'd like to take a detailed look at those keystones, I'll leave a link to them in the video description below. So first things first, Mahuxotl's Machination is a unique shield which is only obtainable as a rare drop from the Tower of Ordeals unique map. This map is where you fight the Trialmaster boss, that's the guy from Ultimatum. And this map is obtained by assembling Vow pieces together, a bit like Harbinger items. And I'll link the wiki page below if you want to check out where you can get these bits to drop. But good luck if you're going for the shield in SSF, as it's a very rare drop from the Trialmaster, and getting the map itself can be a bit of a pain as well. Okay, so the shield grants 6 keystones. Let's go through each keystone briefly. Corrupted Soul grants 15% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. The downside of this keystone, the 50% of non-chaos damage bypassing energy shield, is irrelevant because of another keystone. That's Divine Flesh. This keystone makes it so that 50% of all of the elemental damage that you take is taken as chaos damage, whilst also providing 5% maximum chaos resistance. But the downside of Divine Flesh makes it so that all damage bypasses energy shield, which overrides Corrupted Soul's modifier. The next keystone is Eternal Youth. This keystone applies energy shield recharge to life instead, whilst applying a heavy penalty to life regeneration rate and the maximum total recovery you can gain from life leech. The penalty to life regeneration rate is irrelevant because of another keystone, Vow Pact. This keystone makes it so that you have no life regeneration, whilst doubling the maximum total recovery from life leech, which cancels out the penalty to life leech from the previous keystone, bringing you back to the baseline 20% cap on maximum total recovery per second from life leech. Vow Pact also doubles total recovery per second from life leech, which brings the baseline recovery of 2% of maximum life per second per leech instance up to 4%. The next keystone this shield grants is Immortal Ambition. This keystone makes energy shield start at 0 and makes it so that you cannot recharge or regenerate energy shield, whilst also making energy shield decay at a rate of 5% per second. We already couldn't recharge energy shield because that mechanic has been transferred to life by Eternal Youth, but these other modifiers will be important in a moment. Immortal Ambition also grants an overleech effect, so that your life leech instances are not removed when your unreserved life is filled. However, if you're not reserving any life, this means you'll be able to reach full life, and at full life, this keystone transforms the recovery from life leech into energy shield recovery instead. And while your life leech is recovering energy shield, it won't be recovering life. This form of energy shield recovery is important for another modifier. We'll get to that soon. Before that, let's look at the last keystone, Everlasting Sacrifice. This is an exclusive keystone to Mahuxotl's Machination, and it will grant +5 to all maximum resistances for 4 seconds whenever you reach full energy shield, before sacrificing all of your energy shield so that you need to build it back up again. This is where all of those modifiers related to energy shield come into play, so let's isolate them. Energy shield is being increased by Corrupted Soul, which is granting 15% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. Energy shield can't regenerate or recharge, and starts at 0. It also decays at a rate of 5% per second. Energy shield is also recovered by life leech when you're at actual full life. So, to make full use of Mahuxotl's Machination, you're going to want to have a way to fill energy shield every 4 seconds, so that Everlasting Sacrifice's +5% to all maximum resistances buff is active all the time. The most immediate way to do this is with the modifiers granted by the shield, so let's make use of Immortal Ambition's energy shield recovery based on life leech mechanic. However, to do this, you will need to ensure that you can reach actual full life, so you'll be unable to reserve any life. because if you have any life reserved, when you reach unreserved maximum life, life leech will continue to occur, but you won't start to recover energy shield. You must be on actual full life. The recovery to energy shield from Immortal Ambition is based on life leech, which means it will leech and recover energy shield using your life leech stats, but it's still subject to energy shield's 10% leech cap, which is based on your maximum life. Prior to patch 3.21, this was still a fairly unreliable method to obtain permanent uptime on Everlasting Sacrifice, but Crucible League added masteries for instant leech, and instant leech will also apply to the energy shield recovery from Immortal Ambition. As long as you're dealing enough damage and you're hitting enemies often enough, you'll be able to keep up Everlasting Sacrifice's plus 5% to all maximum resistances buff indefinitely. But this does require having enemies to hit, which is sometimes not ideal. So for example, you'll likely have some downtime for boss phases. Okay, so what other methods are there to gain enough energy shield? The Fenumus Spinnerets unique boots grant up to 20 energy shield per enemy hit, as long as they're affected by aspect of the spider's web effect. This means you'll need to be using aspect of the spider, which can be beastcrafted onto gear. Again, this method is quite specific, as you'll need to be rapidly hitting enemies to make up enough energy shield within the 4-second window, and it once again requires enemies to hit to be able to actually gain the energy shield. There's a similar Watcher's Eye mod which grants up to 30 energy shield per enemy hit, but this one requires the use of Discipline, which is definitely not ideal. There are also two other main ways for permanently keeping up Everlasting Sacrifice's buff. The first makes use of the Demon Stitcher unique gloves, which sacrifice a percentage of life to gain that much energy shield when you cast a spell. This modifier has a huge roll range from 5% up to 25%, so you'll need to find the right balance for your build, where you're able to gain enough energy shield every 4 seconds to proc Everlasting Sacrifice, but also to ensure that you're not losing too much life that you're unable to recover it. The sacrifice mechanic from these gloves does not prevent or stop life recharge from Eternal Youth, so as long as you haven't taken damage to life in the past 2 seconds, you will have life recharge up to be able to recover that sacrificed life back up to full. The other, currently very popular method is a combination of the Pathfinder Ascendancy's Master Surgeon Notable and Sorrow of the Divine or Replica Sorrow of the Divine unique flasks. Master Surgeon makes it so that life recovery from flasks does not stop when life is topped off, providing an enduring like flask effect for life flasks. While these unique flasks apply life recovery from flasks to energy shield as well. When combining Pathfinder's Flask Charge Generation, you'll be able to keep your life flask active all the time, which will be constantly topping off energy shield and continuously refreshing Everlasting Sacrifice's buff. The Replica Sorrow of the Divine Life Flask also has the added benefit of providing Eldritch Battery, so that you can make use of energy shield as a resource for mana skill costs too, and provides access to a Divine Blessing aura, which is very powerful. Once you have a way to maintain Everlasting Sacrifice, you can then begin to build onto the rest of the shield. Since Mahuxotl's Machination provides Divine Flesh, this means you'll have a free Timeless Duel slot, and this provides access to one of the strongest keystone combinations in the game, and that being Divine Flesh and Tempered by War together. Once again, if you wanted a detailed look at Tempered by War, you can check out the keystone highlight that I made for it a while back. The link will be in the description below. So Divine Flesh makes 50% of all of the elemental damage that you take be taken as chaos damage instead, while Tempered by War makes 50% of lightning and cold damage that you take be taken as fire. Both of these modifiers are not hit specific, so they'll work against damage over time as well. This means that 100% of lightning and cold damage that you take will be split, and half will be taken as chaos damage, whilst the other half is taken as fire damage. Which means you can completely forgo gearing for any kind of lightning or cold resistance, as you'll no longer be needing those stats. And this also means that Tempered by War's downside is entirely negated. But that's not all, because with this setup, you'll be extremely strong against elemental penetration. You'll avoid cold and lightning damage specific penetration entirely, and you won't be affected by fire damage specific penetration on half of the damage that's taken as chaos. By default, you'll also avoid cold and lightning specific non-damaging ailments that would be applied to you from hits, because these ailments are based on damage taken, and you're no longer able to take any cold or lightning damage. But remember, you'll still be susceptible to ground effects. With this setup, you can fully focus on maximum chaos and fire resistance, and with the bonus from Divine Flesh and Everlasting Sacrifice, you'll already have 85% maximum chaos resistance and 80% maximum fire resistance. You can then make use of Purity of Fire to further improve maximum fire resistance. And you can begin to make use of mechanics to take a portion of physical damage as fire or chaos damage, such as the Purity of Fire Watcher's Eye mod granting up to 10% of physical damage from hits taken as fire damage. There's also the Cloak of Flame unique body armor, which provides 40% of physical damage taken as fire damage, and even better still, this is not specific to hits, so it will work to reduce physical damage over time too, like bleeding. There are also helmet modifiers too, such as Corel's physical damage from hits taken as fire mod, which rolls up to 10% on an Unveil, or 8% on a Craft. And you can also find modifiers for physical hits taken as both fire or chaos in delve areas related to fire or chaos items. These modifiers drop with a fixed 10%. Then you can apply an Eater of Worlds implicit to these helmets, to gain up to a further 8% of physical damage from hits taken as either fire or chaos. And the Energy Shield and Armor Mastery provides a further 10% of physical damage from hits taken as chaos damage. Stacking enough of these modifiers will potentially allow you to forego using Determination, which frees up a huge chunk of mana reservation. Be aware that damage taken as only occurs once, so for example, you wouldn't be able to use the Lightning Coil body armor to take physical damage hits as lightning and then have that lightning damage converted to chaos and fire through the Keystones. So you need to ensure that these modifiers are specifically shifting the damage you take into either fire or chaos. You could instead go a different route and make use of ways to further reduce damage taken, such as the 4th Vow unique body armor, which will apply your full armor value to all of the chaos damage taken from hits. Or there's the Armor and Energy Shield Mastery, which will apply 10% of your armor to all of the chaos damage taken from hits. Or the Formless Flame unique helmet, which provides a giant flat minus damage taken modifier for fire damage. If you want to take a detailed look at these mechanics, including some examples of damage mitigation for boss abilities, you can find some older videos on my channel comparing the 4th Vow's use with Divine Flesh, and of course the highlights for both Divine Flesh and Temper by War go into a lot more detail. But I do want to briefly talk about Life Sustain, because the Mahuxotl's Machination Shield does remove life regeneration as an option to recover life. And as discussed earlier, Life Leech effects will instead recover Energy Shield while you're on full life. The Pathfinder setup with Master Surgeon won't have any issues here, since life recovery from Flask will do more than enough to recover any life lost. You will have access to life recharge from Eternal Youth, but be mindful that any life lost by taking damage will prevent and stop life from recharging. Therefore, self-damage such as that from Bone Shatter or Forbidden Rite will stop and prevent life recharge. So if you're planning to use life recharge as your main recovery method, you'll want to avoid self-damage mechanics. Life gained on here is always an option, and there's always life flasks too, especially with access to life flask charge generation on the passive tree. Hopefully this was a bit of insight into the Mahuxotl's Machination Shield, a pretty crazy unique item. I do wonder if this item will see changes in the future. I really hope it doesn't, because it's quite a rare item and you do have to kind of jump through some hoops to actually get it to work, and so I'd like to see this one stay in the game. What do you guys think of Mahuxotl's Machination? Have you been using it in some builds this league perhaps? Do let me know down in the comment section below, and of course if you've enjoyed the video, please do like and subscribe for more videos like this one in the future. And of course, a big shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support the channel going forward, please do click the join button below to find out more. And I will just take a moment at the end of this video to discuss my plans for Exilecon. Obviously, we're only 10 days away at this point, so I just wanted to say I've got a few videos in the pipeline, things that I've got planned coming up, a couple of Keystone highlights. I'm also going to be doing a Exilecon predictions video. I'm going to be joined by a special guest on that one, a collaboration, so look forward to doing that one too. And Exilecon starts at 11 PM for me on the Friday evening, so I'm probably going to watch the event live and then I'll be sleeping, so I won't be able to get any kind of reactions to Exilecon up until the next day on the Saturday. Probably the Saturday afternoon is when I'll be able to get the first video up. But you can expect a lot of content on this channel going forward, especially after Exilecon, with probably a huge amount of news that we're going to be getting from Exilecon, so I'm excited for that. And I want to also take a moment to just thank you guys for your support over the last 4 months, because it's been kind of crazy. Went from having the video watched by Asmongold, that was actually an AI voiceover video, and he liked it a lot, so that got me a bit of traction when I first started, all the way up to a couple of weeks ago reaching 5,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely crazy. I never thought that I would get this kind of response from you guys, so thank you very much for that. And that's going to be it for this one. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay tuned and stay safe.